What's going on YouTube, and welcome back to the channel. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about my favorite area in Lord of the Rings Online, an area that struck me so hard when I first saw it, it just blew me away. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is Rivendell. When I think of key defining moments and the first moments that you're truly blown away in any game, my mind always immediately gravitates back to Rivendell in Lord of the Rings Online. This area, when you first enter it, is unlike anything I can truly explain unless you've experienced it yourself. Providing you don't just swift travel into Rivendell, which technically you shouldn't be able to do if you haven't experienced it for the first time, you'll take the mountain pass, so past the trolls, winding down the ravine, and you'll start off really high on the cliff tops as you work your way down, and gradually on your left hand side you'll see the tips of these beautifully crafted structures and window panes and mist and the kind of auburn glow of the trees as you descend down into the chasm. And what really sets this moment off is the music. The music of Rivendell, and I don't say this lightly because there are a lot of iconic moments and iconic soundtracks throughout the Lord of the Rings franchise, but to me, Rivendell has the soundtrack for Rivendell has a real fantasy about it, a real mystery, a sense of kind of valor and sort of real presence as you enter this wondrous realm of eternal beings, and you really just feel like this big when you're entering for the first time you witness it. And I've said this before, that Lord of the Rings Online does a very good job of making you truly understand the scale of everything around you, the scale of Middle-earth, the scale of the buildings, the scale of some characters. And Rivendell is no stranger to this. The mountains that surround Rivendell are exactly that. They appear as mountains. You almost look like an ant in terms of size. The waterfalls, you can hear the water cascading and hitting the rocks as you pass over the really sort of finely detailed bridges that cross from path to path. And the way that Rivendell is laid out, in my opinion, it kind of beckons and beacons you towards the last homely house, being the kind of epitaph of what you're approaching into. And when you first, I guess, experience the entrance of that structure, if you've only ever read it in the books and you've only ever seen it in the films, putting a digital version of yourself into that scenario and kind of experiencing that firsthand when you approach the steps after you've gone over the sort of the last bridge, it's, the scale is just out of this world. The grand double doors before you enter into this of course, you know, this sort of grand entranceway with multiple staircases you can see around you now. We're in Elrond's library currently, which, for those of you that don't know, when you do start to speak to Elrond a lot, you'll hear a lot of broken ankles. That could not have been any more on cue. I didn't plan for that. Whoever that was, they're not a paid actor, I promise you. What's up, dudes? Post-edit Josh here. If you've got this far in the video, thank you very much for sticking with me. And thank you to all of you that have supported me on Patreon and via YouTube membership. You guys really do help keep the dream alive. If you want to gain access to some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, post-edit stuff, community bits, then I'll leave all the links down below. Patreon you can support from just £1, and YouTube membership I think is around £3 to £4. But it's not expected, but for those of you that do support, I appreciate you so much. Enjoy the rest of the video. You'll get to know this area really well, and you can even hear the backing track now. Everything is just so soft and mellow and smooth, and for many people, when you ask them, you know, what are your your fondest memories, what you go to places. A lot of people say, oh, I really like hanging out in the Shire, or I really like the funky beat that plays sometimes when you're in Breetown, or in the Prancing Pony. And for me, Rivendell is just leagues above, out of my personal experience of the areas that you could potentially travel to in Lord of the Rings Online. Rivendell is truly special. I've always been obsessed, even growing up and first learning of mystical beings. I've always been obsessed with the ideology of an elf who they don't fear death. Instead, they're bound to fear eternal life, which in itself is much more of a curse than the latter. And I've always found that incredibly interesting. And just being around the sense of wonder, everything is so hyper clean and sculpted to the most perfect manner, and it really is portrayed so well in Lord of the Rings Online. I just thought I'd make this video just to kind of see if any of you guys have any similar opinions on certain areas within the game. I was just passing by and I thought, wow, I could really sit here for hours. There are not many games where I would just consider sitting here AFK and going to do something else. I've always found that in other MMOs, when I've played them, I've kind of looked at people that stand around an AFK and think, what are you doing? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. What a waste of time. But I do feel like when I'm playing LOTRO, especially in some areas, I really just want to just stop and just take it all in. But be cool to hear from you guys. Let me know down below. I could be totally crazy. If I am, let me know. But otherwise, it'd be really cool to hear from you. As always, if you did enjoy, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. We are amassing subscribers in an unforeseen rate, so I really can't thank you guys enough for that. Keep smashing it, and I'll see you in the next one.